Women and Gender in 17th Century England.
Part 1. Introduction.
The early modern period is remarkable, not just for its women, but for the way in which men saw women. This is an age in which men's roles are being challenged by women. Women as martyrs, women as monarchs, women as writers, and so on. And this gives rise to male anxiety. The playwright Ben Jonson, for example, complains of ladies that live from their husbands and cry down or up what they like or dislike in a brain or a fashion with most masculine or rather hermaphroditical authority, showing his discomfort at women who do not behave in a womanly way. An anonymous pamphlet of 1620, entitled The Womanish Man, expresses the spirit of women's assertion of identity and rights. We are as free-born as men, have as free election and as free spirits. We are compounded of like parts, and may with like liberty make benefit of our creations. The fear that women were usurping men's roles is reflected in the fact that female transvestitism, women dressing in men's clothes, was regarded as quite a serious transgression, and offenders were liable to be punished, whereas male transvestitism, men dressing in women's clothes, was generally regarded as harmless. The anxiety that coloured men's view of women had a more sinister side, too. When Shakespeare's Lady Macbeth calls on the spirits to "unsex me here," and "come to my woman's breasts and take my milk for gall," she opens up her woman's heart to cruelty and evil, aligning herself with the witches who have prophesied that her husband will become king. The 17th century in England, even more than the 16th, was a time of persecution of women as witches, and hundreds were tortured and put to death in the belief that they were agents of the devil. The fear, hatred, and suspicion with which women were commonly regarded in the early modern period is partly a result of the Christian culture of European society. According to the Bible, it was a woman, Eve, who first accepted the apple from the serpent and gave it to Adam in the Garden of Eden. Women were seen as being more fleshly, more driven by physical desire than men. As one male writer of the late 16th century puts it, "The common scum of women are so proud, so foolish, so shrewish, so imperious over their husbands, and for enticements of the flesh, and proneness to lust, of such an untamed and unbridled concupiscence, that they may well be tired, but never satisfied with the act of venery." The perceived decline of the medieval traditions of courtly love was also an aspect of early modern gender relations. In the heroic past, the man supposedly knelt before his lady in a symbolic reversal of the male hegemony of the age, and she gracefully accepted him, after which the normal pattern of male domination and female submission would reassert itself. Whether the medieval period was really like that is a different question. What matters is that both men and women looked back in early modern times to an age when, supposedly, men were men and women were women. However, separating them from that ideal age was the 16th century, with its powerful queens and heroic female religious martyrs. 17th century women had some inspiring role models, and men found themselves being compared unfavourably to female role models, as well as having their assumptions of male supremacy challenged. Later in the century, Samuel Butler, like Jonson, paints a picture of women asserting themselves, taking over from men. When o'er the breaches greedy women fight to extend their vast dominion, when wives their sexes shift like hares, and ride their husbands like nightmares. For when men by their wives are cowed, their horns, of course, are understood. As this passage shows, sexual insecurity was a significant component of early modern male anxiety. What if, after going down on bended knee to one's sweetheart, she should after all refuse, and even mock her suitor? The late 17th century poet Mary Barker paints exactly such a picture of a rejected lover. O cruel nymph, why dost thou thus delight to torture me? Why thus my sufferings slight? My mournful songs neglected are by thee. Thou art regardless of my verse and me. Thou canst behold with an unpitying eye my sorrows, and art pleased to see me die. The way that Barker, as a woman, takes on the narrative voice of the slighted male lover highlights this sense of female empowerment in gender relations. There are numerous examples of women showing this kind of awareness in 17th century women's literature, perhaps the most striking of all being Aphra Behn, whose extraordinarily explicit poem The Disappointment describes in intimate detail a man's failure to maintain an erection while making love. He cursed his birth, his fate, his stars, but more the shepherdess's charms, whose soft bewitching influence had damned him to the hell of impotence.